I've been in North Penn for my 21st year. I've been a health and phys ed teacher. I was the athletic trainer for a while. I'm involved in things like we're talking about the proms and stuff. I love the school. Last year I was asked to be on a committee looking at the buzzword now is career readiness in schools, which is not new. I've been there 20 years, and the guys that have been there 30 years say to me, I remember this, there are new ideas. But we are looking at career readiness. So we had a committee last year look at what are we doing right and wrong. And this is not like a trend. This is not like a flash in the pan. There's something called, without boring you with educational law, there's something called Act 339 in PA, which requires all public schools to do K through 12 career readiness training. They actually they audit you. You have to have so many, they call them artifacts. I got to be able to come in and randomly the state comes in and says, give me this kid. I need to be able to say the thing he did in second grade where he or she said what they want to be when they grow up, and their writing response from their 5th grade career fair, and be able to show that for all students. So this has some legs to it, and I think is not going anywhere. Also, again, without getting boring on educational law, next year will be the first time that the Keystone tests, which are standardized tests, you have to graduate them, you have to pass them to graduate. And not all students are going to graduate them. And so there are some alternate pathways. And some of the alternate pathways that they have given are kind of adding up. You take the test twice, adding up something as simple as adding up your best scores, and that gets you there. Or things like a professional credential, an OSHA credential, potentially CPR certification, first aid certification, or maybe a Snap-on Tools credentials, or completing a career readiness program. So there is some schools are being encouraged to do this. It is great that North Penn has done this, but this is coming from the top. So part of, you can flip to the next one, was looking at what we have. And the good news is we have a couple of really good things in North Penn. The very first thing is we have a great elective program. At a school the size of North Penn, you can take, every department has classes that are certainly career oriented. I just mentioned augmented reality. I used to teach a class called athletic training, which was in our health and phys ed. We have a forensic science class, CSI. Literally, psychology is extremely popular now with our students, with as much as we talk about mental health issues. Every department, you go down the line, every department has something. Our SES department has full fashion, internal design, you name it. You can take these classes. And when I used to teach athletic training, my point was I'd have a class of 25 kids, and I had 10 kids that always would come in, who wants to do this, or related to this, a nurse, a PC, an OT. 10 kids would raise their hand. And at the end of that class, most of those kids didn't want to do it anymore. And that was a successful class for me. That meant I told them accurately what the training looks like, what the career outlook was. And at the end of the day, they're like, yeah, I don't want to do that, which is awesome, because the typical kid doesn't get that until their 1st or 2nd year of college. So we're looking at saving some time and effort and even money. Correct. And so that's really good. We also have something on the back end called career study and work study, or what's called gifted mentorship. Those are things that are scheduled in the school day. They're all kind of the same. So career study would be, let's say that student we just talked about here, if we had gotten this ahead of time, he could have been scheduled in his senior year to come into your place 3 or 4 periods a day instead of school. If he didn't go there, we actually treat it like he's cutting school, and go within the school day and go and either work in a pay or non-pay situation to expose, almost like co-ops type stuff. We have students that are working at law firms. Those are programs that have had as many as 150 students in them at a time. They have kind of fallen off. We really used to get a lot of our high-flying medical students. The HIPAA laws really cut the legs out from that. And it was really challenging for those type of students to be able to get long-term, everyday type of placements. So we have a lot of students that are interested in education because we can place them within our school. We have students that are interested in our internal things like our TV studio. Students that work there can do that. But that student that works for you could theoretically, if we go back and then figure this out, maybe in a senior year, you got them every day during the school year from 10 o'clock on. So those are things that we have that are good. But there also, there has to be a student that really knows what they want to do. And we don't necessarily know that, and it could be a lot. Students that want to come back and be on sports teams, or, your senior year at colleges, it has its limitations. So those are the things we already have in place. So it was like, well, we need something kind of in the middle. And that's what this CHIP program, we call it, came up with. So we know that our students kind of fall on one side of the spectrum here. The student who thinks they know what they want to do probably doesn't really understand it. The student says, I want to be an engineer, doesn't really understand maybe what that job looks like and smells like and tastes like and all those things. And the student says, I got no idea. That when you start to ask them questions like, you know, do you like working with people? Do you like working outside? They really do know a little bit. So we know that most of our kids kind of fall in that middle. And how do we continue to expose them to things to kind of figure that out? You know, I keep my kind of pitch to the kids as I talk to them has been, the goal here is to leave North Penn with a plan. And that plan could just be, I know that what I want to do, I have to go to college. Or, you know, it turns out maybe I don't have to go to college for this. Or maybe even there would be someone who will pay for me to go to college to do this, which is a whole new plan, part of the plan that I'm seeing a lot more. So we just want them to go. We don't want to say I'm going to college for what, I don't know. You know, it's just a plan. So that's kind of where we're at. And we look at this as this program helps with that. So you can hit the next slide. So again, these are just some things that we had talked about. I did this presentation to our Ed Foundation. So, you know, we try to make students flexible. We know that, I think the research we were looking at, most of these age students will change their career anywhere between 5 to 7 times. And most of that is before the age of 30. That's not a new job. That's a new career path. I'm doing something totally different. So we really want to allow them and give them the experience of seeing these things. And, you know, someone said, a woman I work with in another school, you can't be what you can't see. So most of these students are going to go into this site and they're probably going to see something that they didn't even know was a thing, you know. So we look at providing opportunities for kids to see careers, work around professionals. I was telling the story, I still remember I was telling my son the other day, and I said, we're talking about sports, and I said, listen, you're 5 minutes early. If you're 5 minutes early, you're on, and he's like, I know, you're on time. And he was like, did you make that up? And I was like, I wish I could take credit for that, but I didn't. And I started to think where I heard that. And I went back to my first kind of full-time job in the summer. A friend's parent mom got me a job. I worked in the old PNC building across from City Hall. And they had an old freight elevator. And this guy, Sal, used to let me run the elevator. And Sal was seemingly 300 years old. He probably was, he's almost 50. He's probably 6, he's probably 10 years older than I am now. And he used to always say that. And that seeped in and became part of who I am, to the point where my kids think, they didn't even realize it, you know? And being a young person and being around professionals that are not teachers, that are not your parents, that are in a field that you may be interested in, you listen to them a little more. You know, I mean, my kids, I'm in North Penn. Kids love, I'm usually fairly popular, but my 12-year-old doesn't think I know anything, you know? So, you know, getting them around those other adults, I think, is key. So they can start to get some of those little nuggets. Those are what we call soft skills now. Those things are good for all jobs. So we look at this as what we're aiming to do. So the key thing here is that we can kind of do all this with our CHIP program, and they can earn credits towards graduation. So I'll get to the quick details of that. You can get the next slide. You can do the next one.
There we go.
Oh, sorry.
And
you know, these are some of the things we show kids, the idea of, we're pushing the idea of network, right? You're already, it's not what you know, it's who you know. You're already building your network. That person at your internship here, you get the right internship here. That's a mentor as you go to college. That's the place you come back to and potentially work in the summer as you, and then that's the first place you go when you hopefully don't move home, but when you move close to home. You know, we're looking at our soft skills, getting an idea. We say part of figuring out what you don't want to do is part of the way you figure out what you're going to do, right? So that student that came into my athletic training class and says, oh, this is what I want to do, and leaves there saying, I don't, that's okay. That's what we're trying to do. It's not, we don't want to make you into anything. We're really just trying to expose you to different things. So, the last part is kind of giving a realistic view. You know, you should know what this job, how much money you can make, what are the hours, you know, ask your mentor, someone on site, how they get there, you know, what do they like about it, what do they don't, you know, these are things that we want students to know. So you can go to the next slide. So our program, we're not doing, this will be next year. We realize that we have to start in the sophomore year. One of the challenges at North Penn is with 3,000 kids, they're only there for 3 years. Some people don't know that North Penn is only 3 grades. When I started looking at all this stuff, as I was like a teacher that started looking at what we're doing, we do a great job, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, eighth grade, talking about what do you want to be when you grow up, career fairs, guest speakers. And then you get to North Penn High School and there's a gap. Sophomore year, you're kind of like, I can't even believe that freshmen go to high school. Sophomore seems so young to me. They're just learning the building. And then junior year it's college straight. And we stop talking about it. There isn't stuff there. So in our sophomore year, we're gonna really push some of this like career inventory, some career exploration. There's some really good software out there that we have access to the IU, and we're looking at investing in, allowing students to explore different things, watch some video, people in fields, start to get them an idea of what there is kind of out there. We're gonna hopefully kind of bring back Career Day, which is something that's kind of fallen away. And we have a pretty successful speaker series that was done beforehand. I say beforehand, I mean before COVID, and we're looking at doing that again. We're looking at, in an ideal world, the students, if we all take our career survey, we're able to pick a few careers that we're interested in, and then the challenge at North Penn is always communication. Say, hey, we have Joel coming in, and you're calling as an entrepreneur, a local business person, you're going to come in and do a talk, and we then can target that information to the students that are interested in that and say, listen, we have someone coming in, you should come into this thing we're going to do after school, or we're going to do before school, or the 2-hour the stock market thing you were just talking about there, and get that information so we have captive audiences. At North Penn, maybe that's 10 kids, maybe that's 30 kids. But that's kind of our plan for the sophomore year. We have not done that yet. We started halfway through this year. So that will be next year's goal. So next slide is kind of what we're looking here for our internship. So what we look at is our internship basically right now is we're finishing course selection. We gave basically 2 options. Students can choose either 40 or 70 hours. We just wanted to give an option. What we found is, student comes in, wants to be a physician. It's probably going to be hard to get 70 hours, honestly. Unless you have a personal relationship with your pediatrician, they said you can come in, or your mom or your neighbor, or your aunt who works somewhere, and they, you have that connection. The chance of me calling up and saying, hi, this is Chris Frey from North Penn High School, you're just not going to take people on. It's too hard for you. It's not worth the hassle. So the 40, 70 hours really just to give someone that might struggle to find hours. They do receive high school credit for it. Most students from North Penn High School graduate with more than enough credit. So it's usually probably not the carrot that the adults in the room thought it would be, but it is good to give them credit. I think it gives something, it shows initiative. It's something that looks good on a college application or a resume. It's something you reference in your college application essay, about your experience. It's always tell the kids, it's better to say, here's what I did versus theoretically, here's what I would do. You have 2 people equal, and one person's done it, and one person thinks, hasn't done it, but knows what it should be. I'm giving a nod to the person with the experience. So in order to be an intern, it has to be with a professional. It can be paid or unpaid. We thought most would be unpaid, and in some career paths, it certainly is. The kid, again, who wants to be a physician, even if we find a spot and a doctor who wants you to come on, you don't really have a skill set that would really warrant them paying you. But what if you want to be a physician and you're a junior in high school and you could be a temp in the office? Isn't there value in that? There's business part that goes to medicine, understanding insurance and scheduling. And then all of a sudden I'm talking to the doctor and I let him know or her know that I'm interested in being a physician. Now I've built that network of connection. They say, come back here. I have this patient's a friend of mine. They said you can come in. Now you're getting that experience. So what we're finding is, and I think there are more paid opportunities, and I don't think that should be a deal breaker for us. We have students that are interested in education. They're going to work at camps. What a better way to understand, kids say, I love kids, versus, being with one kid for 30 minutes is awesome. Being with 30 of someone else's children for 8 hours can be really challenging. We have some students who are interested in being an entrepreneur in management. A student who's he works at Popeyes. He's going to work at Popeyes this summer. We called his manager. We asked if they could do some kind of some of the upstairs stuff, show them how we do some budget stuff or purchasing supplies, or if there's a meeting with other businesses in the area, can you bring them in? They're all for that. And so why, there is value in that. I remember that when I first got in the committee, they said this was going to be like a hard line. And it was like, well, if you're a cashier, that shouldn't count. And I was like, has anyone been a cashier? no one had. You know, I've always had side. I bartended for 20 years in South Jersey. I teach snowboarding in the summer. I run the pool at manufacturers. The word side hustle is a good word. And I said, the cashiers at the point of sale, they handle the money. You put your best person there. They deal with the customers. They have to understand what's sales and all that stuff. I said, that's as valuable experience as you can get. So that switched kind of how we were going to do look at that. So the hours have to be done outside the school day. That's our only other thing. So this is meant to be flexible. It's meant to be for everyone. We don't want a student to say, well, I would love to have done that, but I play on the football team. I'm in the play. Or, you know, my senior year is going to be really busy with college. So that's too much for me. Great, do it in the summer. You know, most of our interns, I believe, will do this in the summertime because that's most business, not unfortunately, but occurs when school is in session. So it could be accumulated after school, over a break, on the weekends. It's about flexibility. We really want every student. That was the thing that was super clear on this, is that we don't, you know, unfortunately, North Penn's a diverse school. Not unfortunately, it is a diverse school. And this isn't just for all the doctors and engineers. This is for every kid leaving North Penn can get value in getting some real workplace experience as they figure out what they're going to do, as they expand their network, as they get an idea of what these jobs look like. So that's kind of what this looks like now. So, you know, in an ideal world, perfect world, sophomore year, we're doing career exploration, your junior year, or you're doing a CHIP internship. And then I personally think that the student that gets out is not going to want to then come back in their senior year and say, yeah, I want to sit in these walls for the, 8 periods. Now we have things like career study or work study or gifted mentorship. Now let's get you every day. Let's continue that on. And now you have a company that might start investing some money in you. Maybe if it is the thing you want to do, you're again building towards like potentially a company that might want to invest in helping offset some of the cost of education or training. So that's how this all fits together, I think, as a big picture. But at the very least, every shop, junior, senior, would have access to at least the internship. So that's kind of how that fits. I think that's it. Is there anything else after that? So this is, so basically the internships, just so you know, as a student is doing an internship, they can provide their own. You come into me and you say, listen, my neighbor, a friend. I actually tell students when they meet with me first, and I've told them, your job is to go find stuff. Go find something out there. And then when we meet again, which we'll meet in about, as we go through course selection, probably all of May will be everyone who is registered. We have about 100 kids registered. So far, within the first 10 weeks, I'm pretty happy. That was kind of our goal. So we have about 100 in that, and we have about 100 in our other 2 programs. So we have about 200 kids in one or another of our outside of school career readiness programs. We meet again, you tell me what you did. Hey, I tried, I called this place, I spoke to a person here, okay, can't come up with something? That's where I come in and start to say, hey, listen, I know we've kind of been building a network. We have about 70 companies right now that have said, yeah, we want to be part of this. This place is hiring, or we talked about maybe running, okay, you want to do finance? We're going to run some seminars, 3 or 4 seminars, and we'll accumulate our hours that way. Or maybe there's an online program where you can go on and you're giving some money and you are doing the stock market, you write an essay at the end. I mean, that checks off all the boxes I need for that. So they'll meet again, they can provide their site, or I help them, but I will not assign anyone a site, even if someone comes in, I'm going to say, here's Mark Stuhler. You can call him, tell him I sent you, and you still have to initiate that contact. So there are some summer programs, or it could be, we have some students interested in research. They're looking into some stuff at Fox Chase Cancer Center for some high school research programs. And then that's basically it. Send them on their way. When they're done, there's no paper, there's no project. We are you submit a resume. We're going to run a resume writing seminar for those that have not done it. You submit your 3 professional references, and then we're going to have 3 or 4 interview days. So the kid gets an opportunity to come in, either with me or maybe by partnering with the Chamber of Commerce and some preliminary talks, have an interview day where you come in, you have a very generic interview, as if you're applying for a job. Dress the right way, shake hands, introduce yourself, 20-minute interview, and at the end of that, you get 10 minutes where they say, listen, you did a great job with this answer. You might want to consider this. Here's something you might want to think about. So when you fast forward, now you're a student a year later, who's got some potential firsthand experience in something they either want to do or don't want to do. Their resumes together, they're building their network, and they've had some practice interviewing. I feel like that puts us you're in a better spot than the student who didn't have access to that. And that's kind of, if we started at career readiness, I feel like that's the steps that are getting us there. So yeah, that's how this career fair kind of fits into that. Every student who, besides being generally advertised to all students, any student who registered for one of those 3 programs received an email from me saying, hey, all these people that came have committed to potentially hosting somebody, either in a pay or non-pay situation. And so you should come. And so we're hoping that we do. We'll see how successful it is. So I think that's our last slide. Anything else on that?
That is the end.
All right.